Welcome back to the FTN College Basketball Betting Show. I am your host, Mike Randle, Chief Content Officer here at FTN. Follow me on X at Randle Rant. And folks, college basketball is upon us. We're coming to the end of the calendar year. So many great things. And look who I have with me today. The great Justin Perry on X at JustinPerry8. He is content and product marketing lead and a super sharp college basketball mind over at Shot Quality Bets. And I will tell you this, if you have not gone to Shot Quality Bets, that is your problem. That is not mine. They have great content, great data, all the stuff that we love here at FTN. They do great work as well. To have the opportunity to have Justin on here on Saturday, right before the holidays at the end of the year, was something I could not pass up. Justin, I have coffee today because I'm very caffeinated, ready to rock and roll. The show has been scalding hot, over 60% over the last 7 shows. Very excited to have you on and see what you like today with the great stuff at Shot Quality. Thank you, my friend, for joining me today.
Mike, it is such a pleasure to be here. I am so honored to hear what you say about Shot Quality Bets. I feel the same way about FTN over, where I'm from. And Shot Quality does a lot of expected data, right? So it's a little bit different than your normal stats in college basketball. It's kind of like XG, but for basketball is what we like to say when you're just getting into it. Expected data, essentially calculating our own field goal percentages based on where players are located, how skilled they are, closeout speeds, everything coming from a lot of computer vision and AI, taking raw video feeds and understanding positioning to a whole nother level, spacing and just even what like points that teams have sacrificed by taking one shot instead of the other to help teams optimize, and then also bettors and analysts optimize their understanding of the game. So same page, same breed. Really love what you guys do at FTN. Pretty big fan of almost everybody you have. Shout out to Frank, who's maybe one of the first modelers I followed when I was getting into it. So this is really great. Excited to hit college basketball today, last day before a little bit of a break, but think we still got some really good action. I know there's some marquee names and everything flying around, so it should be fun.
Yeah, marquee names, marquee games as well. Yeah, Frank does great work. FTN, we're rolling. You take the data, we do it as well, and we use it. And I always equate it just in a poker. It is just like poker. You need to know the math. You need to know the outs. You need to know everything. But in the end, there is a small nebulous part of feel where you tweak it at the end, and you do it so well. That's why I'm thrilled to have you on today. Folks, we are on a mission here. You know that. We're going to March 19th. We're trying to get 1 unit per day. I get incremental. We're not looking to go 12-0. We did go 21-3. Then we cooled off. Then we were at 78%. We've been 500 the last 2 shows. But of course, with Justin today, we're going to knock it out of the park, and we're thrilled to have him here. I am going to start with Mr. Perry's picks because that is the right move. And I want to take notes here, make sure we're on the right side. So, Justin, I'm going to start with you. You sent me 3 picks here, as well as the Shot Quality best bets. I'm going to start with yours as well. Let's go to the first game here. We are in agreement on this game, but the floor is yours, sir. Let's start with Providence -6 in the big matchup here with Butler. Take it away, my friend.
Yeah, this is a really fun Big East matchup. Of course, seeing Providence coming off of this win against Marquette, maybe thinking they could be here for a letdown spot. Shot Quality's data is really cool because we get to go in and say, all right, even though maybe Marquette did shoot a little cold, which I think was a pretty clear point if you watch that game, Providence was expected to win that game by 5 points nonetheless, even if the expected rate of the shots that Marquette took went down. So as expected, it's still a strong home win for Providence there. And I think we can expect another one. Some news on this game. Butler's flight did not get in until this morning. So maybe the travel a little bit difficult, didn't have that night to prepare, sleep in the area. They're coming in fresh off that flight. A couple hours until tip from landing is a little bit difficult. I like that -6 line. I think this could be a pretty tough spot going into that holiday break. Providence, a very formidable home team, and their defense, I think, takes care of business today.
I am co-signing on this pick. I did not know the flight information, Justin. Already paying off here. The check is in the mail by having you on. My logic is this. I think that Big East games, of course, close. It's a lot of points. Butler, well coached with Thad Matta. However, I could feel the loss that was coming when I took Butler -10.5 against Georgetown when DJ Davis went out of that game. Thank you, Ish Mazood. I really appreciate the 2 free throws with 5 seconds left that got them to lose by 10, not 10.5. However, Davis is going to play today. My question, Justin, is how effective is he going to be? And I agree. I think that Butler will be aggressive. I think they can keep this game close, but I agree with you. I think Providence is going to shoot well. They've been great inside the arc. They've been great scoring inside the arc. And one of my favorite things, team shooting almost 78%, Justin, from the free throw line against Providence. Let's get a little negative regression to that number. I firmly expect Providence to pull away in the second half and cover this game comfortably. We are aligned. I love that pick as well.
Mike, I can tell you right now, we have those great regression stats at Shot Quality. Free throws for teams against Providence are expected to be at 72%. So a very serious number there, almost 5% difference. So we'll definitely expect maybe some good bounces to come our way at the stripe.
Brilliant call. Second one here. Now listen, I'm a Jersey guy, Justin, so I have to admit I'm a little biased on this one, but tell me why you like Mississippi State -3. I am not objective when it comes to New Jersey. Tommy DeVito has taken us by storm here. You understand that, but give me the logic and objective opinion on Mississippi State. Of course, really well-coached team, Chris Jans.
Yeah. Mississippi State has been, I think, a categorically unlucky team, especially from behind the three-point line. Shot Quality's data last year, I think, had them as one of the most unlucky teams. I think that can almost still, in some models, not all, but be a little felt in some priors if they haven't been fully scrubbed out yet. They're still getting unlucky this season, expected to be shooting 3.7% better from behind the line. So what you're seeing is still a product of some variance that has gone against them. Have like a luck record. And I think that what we've seen from this Miss State team is pretty formidable. And the Rutgers side for me, and I know, look, I'm an Italian from Westchester, so you don't have to tell me about allegiance and everything here, but Rutgers is 350th in offensive shot making, which is one of Shot Quality's metrics of evaluating how good the players are at making the shots compared to the average. Third percentile. So I'm not really a huge fan of that. I think, this team has been subsisting off of limiting opponents to bad shot selection on defense. So Rutgers is going to depend on forcing turnovers, getting easy baskets. I mean, they're 10th in forcing turnovers. They play really good defense against the rim. They get a high free throw rate, but they're not good free throw shooters. They're not good three-point shooters. I just don't want to bet on a team like that on the road. This Miss State team has looked very formidable at times with a couple stumbles there, lost to Southern. But other than that, Shot Quality data has been really backing up their wins. I think we should expect them to come out here and get a good dub. I know this line has definitely been growing towards the Miss State side, but I think, getting 3, even 3.5, you should feel pretty good about it. This Miss State team is definitely a very strong team on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, this is a good one. We'll go head-to-head on this one. My argument is that with Mawat Mag coming back for Rutgers, I think they're going to see a level of defense with a great coach in Steve Peichel, who came over from Stony Brook, has done a wonderful job. It is a sloppy game. I think they mess it up. It's a neutral, but it's sort of a semi-home for Rutgers. I get it. Listen, Mississippi State burned me against Tulane, where they came out and just shot the lights out. But this is a different level of defense. It is at 3.5. It's starting to creep up to a number that's a little uncomfortable. I expect a big performance from Rutgers. I think it's sort of a slop fest, slow back and forth, and I think Mississippi State will struggle to score here as well. It's kind of why I'm grabbing the points. I would not be surprised if Mississippi State won, but 3.5, if it even gets to 4, I know sometimes, Justin, late movement is good movement, in the betting world. I'm going to grab the points here on the other side. Curious to see how it plays out, but I admit this could be me with my bias here in New Jersey. But it's a great matchup between two really good coaches and two great defensive teams. Next one, I am on board. Take me home here with the Mean Green of North Texas -8, who have been struggling recently. Played Grant McCaslin in Texas Tech, new coach, but still a very formidable team, particularly at home. Tell me why you like them to bounce back today in and people make fun of me, overhype the interstate rivalry here.
Oh, I love interstate rivalry.
in their matchup here against Arlington.
Yeah,
go ahead.
No, look, I think this is a really interesting spot. UTA is a pretty interesting team. They definitely have really good rebounding, but North Texas is going to slow down anyone, and I think they're so good at like getting the line, getting those free points at the charity stripe. One of the most efficient teams in free throws, and I can't tell you how nice it is to bet on teams that you can trust from the stripe. It's just it can be the Achilles heel in any bet. It's always frees and threes, right? And if you don't get the proper variance or efficiencies from those key, high value shots, you're probably not winning your bet. And look, this UT Arlington team comes in 352nd in turnover rate. So I'm not really feeling good about how that offense is going to be running into that mean green defense. They have a very good transition to run off of those live ball turnovers. And they're going to maybe struggle to get to the rim on offense, but I just think this is going to be a sloppy game, and this should favor North Texas because they're going to take UT Arlington out of their element. They should have some really solid rebounding themselves. So I think this one probably comes down to a battle of the boards. And, if Arlington can try to speed up the game, but we haven't seen anybody really truly be able to do that, maybe besides Miss State. So, I do think this is a nice spot to back North Texas. Of course, the shot quality scores are a big part of this handicap for me. They have lost all three of their last games, shot quality expected wins against Boise State and Fordham. So Mississippi State, they struggled, but you're probably getting a real discount against what this North Texas team can do because of recent form. Might just be a little unlucky.
This reminds me of teaching AP Calc when we were going over the derivative, and I had a student explain it, and they said it so well, I just stood back and clapped. Every point you hit, every salient point was right on. Lost to Boise State. That was a tough game away. Fordham was the dunk at the buzzer. I've been fading Keith Ergo. Thank you, Keith Ergo, for gagging it yesterday. I love that one. 2 days ago, rather. That was fantastic. And Mississippi State, like you said, no shame there as well. 3 losses in a row. At home, tremendous from the free throw line, going to force turnovers. They're not going to give it back to a team like UT Arlington. Check across the board, Justin. Brilliant job as always. You nailed it very, very well. I agree with you completely. Folks, make sure you get your comments in if you have questions. Already covered Providence, Butler. We got that one. We're going to whip right through these. Now let's get to your shot quality best bets as well. First one here is interesting because I am on the other side. We're going to start here with Eastern Kentucky plus 25. Now, I'll give you the argument against it. You can blow me up and tell me I'm an idiot. Alabama here coming off 3 straight losses, Purdue, Creighton, Arizona. They've played tough opponents, and they've been close. They led Creighton for a while, lost that game. Purdue, no shame there. Arizona, they were battling. That's the 3rd road game. They're now home here against the Colonels. They are going to need this game. Their metrics are good. They're great from the free throw line. Eastern Kentucky coming in off 3 losses. My guy, Scott Cross, did not cover against Mississippi, even though Mississippi couldn't make a shot for the first 10 minutes of the game, but they couldn't pull away. But he did come back with a nice bounce back there with a win over the Colonels. But you like them here, getting a lot of points. It is a lot of points. I get that, and I don't like laying big lines. Tell me why shot quality best bets. What's the data showing you why you like Eastern Kentucky today?
Shot quality best bets is our newest, literally got to the site this week. So what happens is we combine multiple models because when you bet college basketball and you have 360 teams, sometimes there's too many picks. So we're working on a new reliable way to get down to a more concentrated amount. So we have 3 best bets today. This is the first one. Eastern Kentucky, they've gotten distinctly unlucky by our analysis. My record is 1-7. Shot quality expects them to be 4-4. So that's not necessarily saying they should have won each game, but they've been in it more than maybe people would expect, right? So coming off of this loss to Troy, that was a 7-point loss. Shot quality expected as a 7-point loss. But Northern Kentucky, they lost by 10. They were expected to win by 10. And, a 9-point, 11-point loss to Louisiana was expected to be 3 points. So they've been expected to be in these games more than they have. Not necessarily saying that they were expected to distinctly win, but over time, being closer in those games, basketball's a lot about luck. We would expect them to have maybe pulled out more games than they have. Lost to Prairie View A&M, expected win. Lost to Tennessee Martin, early season, expected win. So Eastern Kentucky definitely a little bit down in terms of what shot quality perceives them to be. And I do think this is a very interesting spot to take them. We also have these ratings for what happens when you get to the actual shot quality score against the spread. So Eastern Kentucky Yeah, 1-7 against the spread, 2-6 expected, and Alabama also perfectly agreement at 5-6. So this just feels like too big of a number for the model. We actually have it all the way at 15. So this has a really strong bit of value for us, and I do think that means also our simulation model, the new one, is keyed in on it. So I do think we should get maybe some garbage time. You're definitely hoping that the end behavior of this game is more of a like Eastern Kentucky keeps pushing, Alabama's kind of parking the bus. But if it goes the other way, that's probably what's going to decide it, Mike. On the opposite side, it's going to come down to the last 7 minutes of this game and how it actually turns out. I don't think we're going to see Eastern Kentucky give Alabama a run for their money. But yeah, finishing around 20 is still plenty big win. And I think the shot quality data is expecting a little bit more fight than maybe what we've seen in past games from EKU.
It's very reasonable. A team that I often go for this exact reason against is Gonzaga. I just find Gonzaga is not a team that's going to punish and bury opponents. I do think Alabama is going to pull away here, and it could be early. The question is, will they keep them away? You have Eastern Kentucky allowing 44.3% from three-point range. That is the worst in college basketball. They are not great from the free throw line either, but your point is valid. These big spreads are very difficult to cover. And if I see Alabama get up by about 32 points and there's 5 minutes left, I'm going to be sitting there like I was watching the Butler Georgetown game, saying, run the clock. So it's a very fair point. I can see it. I'm on the other side, but totally like your rationale as well. The big game today, the other big game before we get, of course, we'll get to Arizona, Florida Atlantic, is Yukon and St. John's. Now, you guys like the over of 147.5. You go first, because then I'm going to tell you why I also like the underdog and the points. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I like that. I'm a New Yorker, so St. John's finally back in the Garden. That's my team. So I love hearing that from you, Mike. But yeah, we're going to be on the over at 147.5. Big disparity here again for the shot quality bets model, expecting Yukon and St. John's to both put up more points here. At 160 points are expected based on the shot quality bets model, expecting this game at 88-72. So a real nice chunk here, expecting this to be a fast-paced game. I mean, I've seen St. John's play. I've seen Yukon play. I don't hate it. I do think this is a nice spot for Yukon to be bouncing back, coming off of that loss. Of course, Klingon ankle. Is he even in? I don't know. That's a big part for shot quality. So if that's something that's here, like our data isn't instantaneous to understanding those injuries for the shot quality bets regression model, because it's team level stats. So maybe a little bit of a pause, but yeah, I mean, assuming that everybody's there and at full strength and teams are playing as expected, this should be a faster pace than what we're seeing. Both these teams, I know that St. John's and Rick Pitino are going to be more than happy to push the pace. I've seen what Ledlum and Soriano are able to do. Pickett, all these guys, they're going to try to get their shots up early in the shot clock if they can, especially if they're down to Yukon. This is a big pride game. And there's a lot of good offensive rebounding for St. John's. So that's the type of stuff that's just going to push extra possessions. It's going to be pretty interesting. They're not going to get to the rim a lot, and Yukon's probably not going to foul St. John's a lot. But if Soriano can eat on those defensive boards, I do think we could see a high number of points.
Yeah, I co-sign on that completely. And now I'll take you through this one. Here's my thought, Justin. The public bets and money, I've checked multiple sites, are on Yukon. Why? Yukon's been fantastic. They were 10-1. They played Seton Hall. Seton Hall had a great game, needed it in the worst way, and came up and really got them. But you know what? They're going to bounce back. We saw them destroy Texas. I saw them in person with Mike Kuchar here, our prop master, destroy North Carolina. They beat Gonzaga comfortably away when all the public was on Gonzaga. Here's my issue. St. John's, this is Rick Pitino. He was with Iona. They played Yukon. He said it last year. That's the best team I've seen all year, and he was right. But you got exposure to them with Pitino, with Iona. Here comes St. John's. They were struggling, lost to my alma mater, Boston College. Inexcusable. However, from that point, they've been better. Fordham, Xavier looked really solid. And on the other side, my question is, last year everybody came in, they had questions about Tristan Newton. Remember, that was the argument. Can UConn win a title with Tristan Newton as point guard? Well, we've seen Tristan Newton struggle a little bit over the last couple of games, so maybe he's giving it back after a strong start that he's had here. Soriano inside, battling Klingon, who could be a little limited. I just think it's too many points. And it could be Soriano getting in foul trouble. You could see Yukon run away and hide. They're home. They're tough. But if anyone's going to cover it, it's going to be Rick Pitino, who likes this style. Like you said, fast-paced projected. I think it's going to happen. I am taking the 11.5 with a nice martini late at night tonight at Yukon. I think they keep this game close, despite the fact that most people will not think that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, Yukon definitely has had some worrisome signs. 323rd in open three rate based on shot quality's evaluation of how much space they've had. And a couple of their more recent games have been solid in terms of developing open threes, but, they're definitely not getting a lot of spacing on some of these shots. They're relying on elite 96th percentile shot making. So, if they have a bad game, it can look ugly, right? Like their shot selection is still really good. Dan Hurley does a really good job at maximizing all that stuff. But again, there's maybe a little concerns about getting to the free throw line enough to get enough points to cover this line. I think it's a nice spot. Again, people always want to bet on the teams that have won a championship. You're very, very rarely going to be getting a fair price on UConn.
And Justin, everyone's going to regress. I mean, I say this all the time. Auburn, when they had that incredible run, they could have won the national title if they just didn't foul Kyle Guy on a three with ice water in his veins, 3 free throws there. They could have made a run. They lost 3 games in a row that year early in the season. UConn last year lost 4 of 6. Hurley gets on the mic. You better get us now because we're coming. So it's not unreasonable that UConn, as good as they've looked, could go into a little slump right now. That's all. Coming home, everyone expects them to roll. I'm on the other side, and you are on the over here at shot quality, which is fantastic. Let's get to your last best bet. Vanderbilt. This one surprises me just because Stackhouse has been struggling, but tell us why you think Vandy plus 16.5 is going to be an interesting play today.
Again, so these shot quality best bets really just are our projections, right, Mike? And you guys at FTN know that well. We have this projected as an 11.3 point win for Memphis. So giving a nice 5-point cushion, which is really some of the highest that we get, honestly, for some of these spreads. So yeah, I really like Vanderbilt here. The perception on the team is definitely low. I know Memphis is one of the most formidable teams. I have a future on them to win. The conference makes some noise in March Madness. I think this is finally going to be their year. I've always liked this program, bringing really good players. It's a tough one though. I mean, it's a big spread, and I think what you're seeing out of the market is a lot of disrespect for Vanderbilt. Probably a pretty nice time to buy in. They've been very unlucky. This is what I call a SQ spot, and so shot quality looks at every single game and rates the results and essentially compiles an expected record on each team along with their actual record. So, Memphis is looking like a very inefficient three-point shooting team, 289th in expected efficiency, which is pretty low. And, they're shooting 33%. So there's definitely a little bit of worry about the shooting. There's some worrying about defensive rebounding. They've been allowing a lot of offensive boards, but, and also allowing a lot of 3-point attempts. So there could be a lot of variance in this game. Vanderbilt has been defending the rim well per shot quality, expected to be 7-4. So Western Carolina, they lost that game. That's a tragic loss for them at home. Shot quality expected a 13-point win. And we like to say, well, what happens if things went as expected? Would this line really be all the way at 16 if Vandy was coming off a 13-point home win against WCU instead of maybe giving the market a lot of reason to disrespect them? So, this is probably going to be a little bit of a big number for what Vanderbilt can do here. We have it at 11 and just see it as a nice value long-term. You take lines like this on teams that are coming off of embarrassing losses that should have been wins. You're probably going to be getting some value.
Yeah, and a rivalry game. Listen, Memphis looked tremendous there against Virginia, who can really struggle when the teams can get and score on Virginia and they get behind the 8 ball. It is very rough, but it is a buy low spot on Vanderbilt, who has struggled the last few games. They have lost 6 of their last 7, 3 straight. The only team they beat was Alabama A&M. Lost to Western Carolina, you said was absolutely brutal. Memphis here could be a sleepy spot, coming off a big one over Virginia. Beat Clemson at home as well. Third straight game. Austin Peay coming up, so they don't even start the conference schedule yet. It's now or never for Jerry Stackhouse. So it's an interesting pick. I'm going to be watching this one because, boy, did Memphis look really good. I mean, what's David Jones's point prop today? 65? I mean, against Vandy, but that is a great point. And it would be a pick that is non-traditional because everyone is going to ride Memphis. It's really good. Interesting, Justin. Really is.
Hey, and, over the last 6 games, right? So 1 in 5, shot quality expects them to have almost 3.5 wins on those games. So just a very different opinion based on expected numbers versus actual performance. And we like to, bank on the fact that performance actually regresses to shot quality and not the other way around. And we've proven that time and time again. That's why shot quality is still here operating, because it works. So long term, it might not happen every time, but hopefully that nice little 55% of the time, like that's all we need. And we'll make some money.
Great. Let's get to a question here. We have a bunch of listeners who've been in there. First one here, Kennesaw State versus UNC Asheville. Colby, great to have you back as always. Saw the initial line movement toward Asheville, now seeing reverse movement on a couple books towards Kennesaw. Line open at -2.5 here with Asheville at most books. I'll take a look right now to see where it is at. This is an interesting game. I liked Asheville last year. It's now Asheville -4. The line is going the other way. I like Asheville in this game. This was one of my picks. I'll give a little spiel and then jump in, of course. Tell me what you think here.
Sure.
I actually had it at 4.5, and I was laying the points. The reason is that Asheville has played much better. They started and struggled this in the beginning of the year. They had a rough loss early to UNC Wilmington. I thought they were going to cover against Michigan. Drew Pember's back. They did not. They had 3 straight losses. They played Kennesaw already. So, Justin, this is, of course, a little narrative-based, but the old flip-flop, Troy losing to Eastern Kentucky, then they play the second time, Troy wins comfortably. It's very difficult when these teams face each other just because parity is so tight for some team to sweep. So now you have Asheville, who lost in overtime away at Kennesaw, which started a 3-game losing streak to Western Carolina and Auburn. No shame in any of those. But what have they done? South Carolina State, not great, but they got the win. Then a super impressive win at Appalachian State, who beat Auburn this year, crushed them from start to finish. I think they're playing well. I like Asheville here. I was laying the points. It got down to 2.5. It's now up to 4. Where are you at here with Asheville versus Kennesaw State? I'm going here with Asheville.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, Asheville is a shot quality bets pick. The model makes this 10 points. So, we really like Asheville here.
Yep.
Kennesaw State is, a little bit of a difficult team to handicap. Fastest tempo in all of D1. Bad defense against shots attacking the rim. Bad defensive rebounding. They do force turnovers and they get to the free throw line a lot, right? So they're going to attack the rim. They're going to get fouled. They're going to do that over and over and over again. And I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Asheville prepares for that. I think, that last game for Kennesaw was actually a much bigger expected win. They shot very poorly from the 3-point line. And so I would still feel the same way. I think it is hard to beat a team twice. This is a spot where Asheville is now at home. They definitely remember it. It was, less than 20 days ago. So this is still pretty fresh. This is a little bit of a rivalry, I would suppose. And Asheville should be the better team. That Appalachian State game, maybe a little bit lucky, but we have them rated around 190th. Kennesaw State going to come in and sit around 205. So I think what the model is probably seeing is a specific matchup tendency. We use a lot of team stats to pinpoint where a matchup might actually go one way or another. So I would expect, with Pember playing well and Kennesaw being a little bit fast and loose, I expect Asheville to get this one done. Probably a pretty safe play for favorites. I know our model has been pretty successful over the last couple of weeks. So I definitely like it.
Yeah, Antoine Petaway, nice job here in his first year, 9-3 here with Kennesaw, but on a roll with 5 straight wins. This is going to be a tough spot. They have Indiana coming up next Friday. I'm going to go on the couch. You can be my psychiatrist for this one, Justin, because I have not gotten a Duquesne pick right for 2 years. Whether I pick for them or against them, the subs at FTN just laugh because wherever I go, it doesn't work out. I am going with Santa Clara today, plus 3.5 against Duquesne. I have just not got them right. They can be very frenetic. They can hit threes. They can play real well, and then they can struggle and be very sloppy with the ball. This game is in Paradise, Nevada, so it is in a neutral site here. Santa Clara, I think, can be tough. You have Duquesne going on the road, not playing at home, 34% from three-point range, solid on defense, but they can give it up with the turnovers, and they can fall in love with the three. Santa Clara has been struggling. They lost 4 of their last 5, but they are a team that I think can play very well in this spot. Herb Sendek does a nice job. Metrics don't look great, but they shouldn't turn the ball over a ton. I think Duquesne on a neutral court is a rough spot. To me, it's a coin flip. I think the line is moving in my favor because it's down to 2.5. I'm taking Santa Clara plus 3.5. Please tell me that I'm going to get a Duquesne pick right for the first time in 720 days.
I mean, look, this team has avoided me as well. I feel like Duquesne, definitely interesting. You hit the nail on the head, fall in love with the three, 42.9% 3-point attempt rate. That is high, 54th highest in the nation. They should actually be focusing on attacking the rim because they're really good at it, but they don't. So, yeah, I think it's probably going to come down to how Santa Clara does at defending the rim, how they do in terms of defending those threes. Obviously, rim of three, big part of basketball, pretty standard analysis there. But I do think the low turnover rate for Duquesne is probably going to be what the X factor is, right? If they can keep the ball in their hands and not struggle, I do think that that could be the only way they get it home. Santa Clara not exactly forcing a lot, but they do pass well. They do run in transition well. They're a good offensive rebounding team. They attack the rim effectively. They just probably want to get more free throws, I think. So it's going to be a very interesting one for me. I think, these teams are both playing a little bit better than expected. So wouldn't be shocked to see some craziness. I definitely think you have the right call here, grabbing the points. You never really know what's going to happen on these days. So if you're feeling like you're going up against a little bit of a confusing one, I always lean towards taking the underdog. This should be a fun battle. I mean, honestly, Duquesne is a very interesting team. Shot quality does make this one, I believe, a 6-point projection, consensus at 2.5. So a little bit of market disagreement there. But no play, not enough for us to say, oh, well, you should be going and grab it. If it did, surpass probably -1, if it was a pick 'em, we'd probably be on Duquesne. But other than that, I think it's probably a decent skip or Santa Clara.
Great, sir. Let's get to the big one here, and then we will get you out of here. Again, cannot thank you enough, Justin. Have to follow Justin, folks. He is the man. Please make sure if you're not on X at Justin Perry 8, Shot Quality, one of the best sites in the business. The big one today. Arizona, I'm taking them minus. I'm laying the points -6.5 against Florida Atlantic. Here is my argument, Justin. I watched Florida Atlantic all of last year. What impressed me is their ability to turn teams over and their ability to really lock in on defense. Here's the problem. I have not seen that this year with Florida Atlantic. They are relying almost arrogantly on their explosive offense.
Yes.
That is my concern. Their defense is Olay defense. They allowed, in front of Mike Kutry and I, while we're mowing on a pretzel and a beverage, they allowed Terrence Shannon and Marcus Domes. Oh, you were? Oh, great.
Yeah, that was crazy.
66 points between those two guys. Terrence
35
Shannon.
shots.
Yep, and Terrence Shannon's wonderful. Don't get me wrong. He got to the basket, as you heard in the old Rounders thing, whenever the heck he wanted. Is that when he got there? Marcus Domes, he was not going to the basket because he was afraid of getting blocked.
Looked like Kobe.
Exactly. Pull up. And they didn't adjust. They did not adjust. So my concern is that they're not going to be able to stop Arizona on defense. Look, has Arizona been over their head? Maybe they have. And Caleb Love, it's always a little fragile when you're relying on him. But they did pull away from Alabama. They got locked in. I don't think Florida Atlantic plays defense anywhere well enough to keep this game close. If Golden gets in foul trouble against Ballo, Rosado is soft. Rosado cannot score against good teams. He's king of the little people. You want to have Rosado here playing a game against Eastern Michigan, he's going to have 30 points. But in this spot, he could not score against Illinois. He was soft. I think that's the problem here. I don't trust the defense, so I'm going with Arizona in this matchup to lay these points here in Las Vegas. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I can't bring myself to do it. I can't. I feel like this one, FAU last minute could easily backdoor this,
That's
being
fair.
down 10, get it right within 6, and boom, right? So I'm actually passing, but I fully lean Arizona. Like, that is, you hit the nail on the head, I think, with Golden and foul trouble. I'm actually looking to live bet this based on how his foul numbers come out. If he can escape the first 12 minutes with just one foul or less, if he has no fouls going into that 8-minute timeout in the first half, I think you want to take FAU because he can be aggressive. He can continue to hold down the defense. The minute that he is potentially on the bench, that's when we saw Terrence Shannon Jr. really start to go to work, open up Domask for those mid-range fadeaways because they just couldn't, rotate and adjust well enough to get to him. And again, Arizona has those same type of shot makers. Don't get it twisted. And they should know to be going right at Golden with Ballo. And if they do that early, I think you can get in on them, even if it balloons up to 9 points. If Golden gets in any sort of foul trouble, FAU could lose this by 12.
Fantastic. Great work as always, Justin. And I mean, loyal listener, Rob, this is the time I'm going to conquer Duquesne. Rob, your lips to God's ears. Justin, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to have you back. Just a great job. Guys, go to Shot Quality. You won't be disappointed. Justin's fantastic. Does a great, great job. Thank you as always, sir. It is a pleasure. Can't wait to watch these games. Have a good holiday. Happy New Year, man. And college basketball taking front and center. There is nothing wrong with that.